Hi, Tim Unkert here, and welcome to my Mega Emacs tutorial part 2. First thing I want to do is we have this nice white theme, but I'd like to change to a darker theme, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is Meta X or Alt X and type in Customize Option, and I'm going to start to type Package and then Enable at Startup, and I want to make sure this is turned on, so I'm going to toggle on and click Apply and Save. Now I'm going to type Alt X and do the up arrow to get back to Customize Option. And I'm going to type Package and do a dash. And I want to do down here Package Archives. So I can click on this if I want. And I'm going to insert a package archive. And one great repository for packages is Melpa. So I'm going to type Melpa. And let's go to Melpa, actually. So we'll type Melpa here. And go to Melpa, and I'll make this a little larger for you. So we can see that Melpa is Milky Postman's Emacs Lisp package archive. Okay, and let's go and click on Getting Started here. And we can add this in a .emacs file, or we could just take this address right here, just copy this. And what we can do is go back here and paste this URL right here with Control Y. I'm going to click Apply and Save. Okay. Now to refresh my packages, I'm going to do an Alt X and do Package List Packages and hit Enter. And that's going to go ahead and you see it's loading here. So it's fetching the packages, including the packages now from Melpa because we changed that option. Okay, the package refresh is done, and maybe I want to go find what a good Emacs theme is. So I'm going to search here for Emacs themes. Okay, and notice Unkert Media has some themes here. So let's scroll down and find Unkert Media. Okay, I'm not on the first page of Google yet, so need to get there. Let's see. On the third page, I think, maybe. Here we go. 37 Emacs themes to try. Let's click on this. Okay, and we've got a bunch of themes here that I've listed on my blog. Dracula, that looks nice. Material, that looks nice. Mac Classic, VS Code Plus, Monokai, Darkula, Cobalt 2. There's a ton of themes we can choose from. Okay, Bad Wolf if we want. And let's go up here and do Dracula. Okay, so now my package refresh is done. So I can do an Alt X and list package. I can type the command Alt X and then package install. And that's going to take a moment. And we can type Dracula. And if I hit tab, it completes it, Dracula theme. Okay, and so we have the Dracula theme now. So I can do Alt X and do Customize Themes. And I can go down here to Dracula and hit Enter. And it's going to ask me if I really want to load this file. I'm going to say Y for yes. Treat this theme as safe in future sessions. I'm also going to say Y for yes. And it's going to load that Dracula theme that I now have. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to do Control XD and go to Dear Ed. Now that I've got my theme, and I'm going to create a new directory called Emacs Tutorials. To do that, I'm just going to hit the plus sign, but I have to do Shift and hit the plus sign because we have the plus and the equals below it. So I'm going to do Shift plus. You see down here, it gives me a directory. I can create it. I'm going to do Emacs, and I'm going to do snake case. I'm going to do _ tutorials. I've been doing a lot of Ruby lately, so in Ruby and Python, getting used to that snake case. Anyways, I'm going to click on this directory, and we have no files in it. So the first file I want to create is called Getting Started Commands. And these files that I create are going to be org files. I'm posting them to a GitHub repository. I will leave a link in the description for that. All right, so to create a file, I'm going to find file. So I'm going to do Control X, Control F, and then I'm going to name the file. And we want to name it getting _ started _ commands, and we're going to do .org because Emacs is famous for its org mode. Now we're not going to really use much org fundament. We're not going to use much org functionality right yet, but we want to start getting used to creating org files because that's one of the great things about Emacs. Okay, I'm going to make a simple heading, which is done with an asterisk, and I'm going to say commands to get started. And notice this is a pretty sweet theme, right? It's got that nice Dracula look to it. And before we get started, when we talk about the commands, the control key, we're going to signify that with a C and a dash, okay? And then the alt key, or the meta key, we're going to signify that with an M and a dash. And you know what I'm going to do before we get going any further is I'm going to up the font a little bit. I've already upped it a bit, but I think I'm going to up it a bit more so you can just see it a bit better. Now to get my menu back, I'm going to do Meta X or Alt X, and I'm going to type in toggle menu, and then I'm going to hit a tab and it goes toggle menu bar mode from frame. I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on options here, go to set default font. You'll see I'm at size 20, and let's really make that big. Let's make it 28 so you can see it, and let's select it. Okay, that's looking a lot better. And just so I can save this, I'm going to save this in case I shut it down and want to start it back up in the video. I'm going to do an Alt X and hit the up arrow key and click toggle menu bar mode from frame to just remove the menu bar. So we don't have to see it. We can get used to these commands. Okay, the first command, which we just used to create this file, is called find file. And I'm just doing these arrow keys to kind of go from the description of the command to the actual command itself. And to do that command, you're going to do Control X, Control F. Okay. And we can also do a find file and autocomplete the file name by doing Control X, Control F, and then we start to type the file name and hit tab, okay? And that will autocomplete it. Okay, so that's a handy trick. We can also, in Emacs, insert a file into another file. Okay, and let's demonstrate that. So to do that, we're gonna do Control X and then I for insert. So let's save this one. Let's do a Control X, Control F. So we're gonna be creating a file in the same directory, and we'll call this test.org. And in this file, say this is a test. It's not meant for much more than that. I want to insert this into another file. Okay, I'm going to save this one, and I'm going to do Control X, Control F again to get back to my previous file, and I'm going to start to type. So I'm going to type GE and hit tab, and that auto completes it like we talked about. All right, so now it's going to bring me back this file, and let's go right here and let's do a Control X I, and then we're going to start to type the name test and hit tab to autocomplete, and look at that. We've inserted the file, that other file, into this file. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff right there. Okay, so now let's say I wanted to save this file, and I've been saving files, so how am I doing that? Well, save file is going to be Control X, Control S. Okay, that's to save the file. Now let's say I wanted to work on this file, but I didn't have permissions to save it, and I wanted to make a copy. Well, there's a command for that as well, and that's called write file. And to write the file, what we need to do is do Control X, Control W. That will write the file to another copy. Okay, so let's put in parentheses, this creates another version of the file. Okay. All right. Now let's say I wanted to find a file, but I typed in the wrong file name and I want to find an alternative file. So there's a command for that as well. It's called find alternative file, and the keyboard shortcut for that is Control X, Control V. All right, so we can find an alternative file with this file. Now let's say I'm tired of Emacs and I want to quit. So I'm going to quit Emacs with Control X, Control C. Okay, let's save. So we're saving it, and let's do a Control X, Control C. Okay, we quit out of Emacs. And look at this, we're on Uncert Media. You should check out uncertmedia.com, as it's a great site. Shameless plug. Okay, anyways, so I'm going to bring back up Emacs, and I didn't save my theme. Okay, so let's get back my Dracula theme. So I'm going to go to Customize Theme, and I'm going to go back down here and hit Enter. And then I'm going to go up to Save Theme Settings, and you'll see my cursor. I hope we can see that. It's right here. I'm going to click Enter. And it says, now my themes are saved for future sessions. Cool. All right, I've got the menu back, so I'm going to toggle, and I hit Tab because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I hit toggle dash menu. I'm going to hit Tab, and it's going to autocomplete it. I'm going to hit Enter. Now I've got that menu out of the way, and let's go back to Dear Ed. So Control X D to get back to Dear Ed, and let's go back to my Emacs tutorials, and I want to go back to my gettingstartingcommands.org. So I'm going to go hit that, and I now notice only the headline. To expand this, I'm going to hit Tab. Okay, so we're back. All right, so we just quit Emacs, but that was a mistake. We want to go back into Emacs, and let's say we want to get help. And we talked about this in the video yesterday. Hopefully you saw that. If not, check it out. It's right before this video. To get help, we're going to do a Control H. Okay, so that gets us help. We did that yesterday. Let's not talk too much about it. Okay. One thing we can get specific help on is describing a key, okay? And to do that, we're going to do Control H and then K, okay? An example of this would be Control H and then K and then Control X, I, okay? So let's actually try that. So Control H, K, and Control X, I, okay? And it brings up the command in this bottom window. So Control XI runs the command insert file, which we did, which is an interactive compiled list function in files.el. So it tells you where it is. It is bound to Control XI. Okay, so we can also do the menu insert file. Okay, so we went through that one, but this describes it in case we didn't know what it was about. Now I'm up here. Now let's say I want to get back to only one window. I'm going to do Control X1. Okay, that's going to bring me back to my 1X window and close that help menu. All right, so another thing we can get help with is finding a function. So find a function. And to do that, we're going to do the key combination Control H and then F. For example, what we could do is Control H, F, and then type find file. And that's going to give us help on finding files. So I'm going to save this with Control X, Control S, and I'm going to do Control H, F, and I'm going to type in find file. Hit Enter, and it brings up the description of the function find file. It's bound to Control X, Control F. It's also in files.el, okay? And it tells you a little bit about it. Again, I can get rid of this window by doing Control X1, and that brings me back down to the window I'm currently in. Okay, so let's write that down. So Control X1, or let's do the description first. So show only one window. That's Control X1. Okay. All right, another couple things we can do with the help, which we talked about yesterday, is Control H and T for the Emacs tutorial. And we can also do Control H and I to browse the manuals. All right, so if we want to browse the help manuals, we can do that. I don't know why I put this in parentheses. Let's follow my standard format here that I was doing. So Control HT gives you the Emacs tutorial. Control HI allows you to browse manuals. All right, let's now open a different file. So I'm going to do Control X, Control F. And I want to call this file editing because we're going to talk about basic editing. So we're going to do Control X, Control F. We'll call this editing.org. Okay. And we're going to create a little headline here. This is editing commands. Okay. And I want to make a note that after each of these commands, we're going to press enter. Okay. So if I don't type it specifically, we'll press enter. So the first one, do Emacs, Alt X, refill mode. Okay. And this keeps paragraphs neat while editing them. Okay. Okay. We can also do Emacs auto -fill -mode, which is another formatting mode, formatting minor mode. Okay. And we can do Alt Q to fill a paragraph. And let's try this out. Okay. And so I'm going to do Alt Q. Okay. And notice how the paragraph filled. Now I want to undo that though, because it's not the formatting that I want, but notice what that does. So Alt Q will fill the paragraph. Now, if I want to undo it, I can do Control X U, and that undoes it, undoes that. Okay. So I want to make a note. To undo, we do Control X U. That is undoing something. Okay. We can also do Alt X. Another command is paragraph indent text mode. Okay. And we can do, so that's another paragraph editing. Now we talked about some of these movement commands. So let's talk about movement commands again and just make a list of them. So we're going to do Control P, which will move up a line. Control F, which will move down a line. Okay, so I could do Control P and, sorry, Control N to move down a line. My bad here. So Control P moves up, Control N moves down. Okay, to move to the end of the line like I just did, I did Control E to move to the end of the line. To move to the start of the line, I can do Control A to move to the start of the line. If I only want to move forward one character, I can do Control F to move forward one character. To move back one character, I can do Control B. That moves back one character. Okay. To move forward a word, I can do Alt F. That will move forward one word. To move back one word, I can do Alt B to move back one word. Okay. To repeat a command, I can do Control U and then N as a number and then some command. This will repeat the command N times. Okay, so if I did something like Control U 10, Control P, I'm going to move up 10 lines. So let's try that. So Control U 10, Control P. Oh, I moved up 10 lines. Now I'll do Control U 10, Control N to move down 10 lines. Okay, the more you practice this stuff, the better you will get at it. All right. To move to the end of a file, I'm going to do the Alt and then the, while holding down the Alt, do the greater than. So that's going to move to the end of the file. Okay. And then move to the beginning of the file, I'm going to do the less than. So this will move to the beginning of the file. Okay. So when I'm doing this, like to move to the beginning of the file, I'm going to do Alt Shift and then the button with the comma on it because it has the less than symbol when you hit Shift. So Alt Shift, comma moves me to the beginning of the file, and Alt Shift period moves me to the end of the file. Okay, to go to a line in the file, I can do Alt G, and then type the number of the line and hit Enter. Okay, so let's do Alt G, sorry, Alt G, go to line. I hit Control G, but Alt G, you see we go to line. Let's go to line 5. And look at that, we're on line 5, okay? So we can quickly go to a line. All right, I'm gonna go back with Alt Shift period to the end of the document so far, and I'm gonna center it with Control L, which we talked about yesterday. Okay, we talked about moving to the end of the line, but we can also move to the end of the sentence with Alt E. So this is moving to the end of the sentence. So let's try this. This is a sentence. This is also a sentence. Okay, so if I want to move back, it would follow that I would do Alt B to move to the beginning of a sentence. Okay, so let's go here and we'll do Alt B. Okay, not Alt B, that moves back a word. Sorry, Alt A. Okay, so if we do Alt A, now notice it moves back and it skips here. Why is that? Well, let's add another space here and we'll do move to the end of the line and do Alt A. Oh, so the sentence has to have 2 spaces after the period for Emacs to respect that as a sentence. Okay, so let's make note of that. Okay, the sentence must contain 2 spaces after the period to be able to move back to the beginning or move forward to the end of the sentence. Now notice in org mode, it doesn't wrap like text mode, which is a difference, but you can control the behavior too. And with these spaces, you can also control the behavior, but maybe you want to do it with 2 spaces to kind of separate your sentences. That's the way Emacs does it by default, which is more the older style, but there's arguments about this online. I'm not going to get into that now, but just let you know that that's the way Emacs does it. Okay. All right. Let's see. So we talked about, let's talk about moving forward a paragraph. So to move forward a paragraph, we're going to do Alt and then the curly brace here. This moves forward 1 paragraph. To move back 1 paragraph, we do the Alt and the other curly brace. So moves back 1 paragraph. Okay. And we can also move forward and back page breaks. All right. So Control X and then the closing square bracket, that will move forward 1 page. Okay. To the next page break. Now, Control X and the opening square bracket will move back 1 page. Okay. Well, you may be wondering, well, how do I make a page break? And let me do Control L to recenter this, okay? So a page break is noted by a page delimiter. So you really have to make a page delimiter to break pages. The way you can do that is do Control Q, Control L. And you see this little caret and the L? This is a page delimiter, okay? So this is the next page, okay? So if I want to move back, I'm going to do Control X and the closing or the opening square bracket, okay? If I'm up here and I want to move to the end of the page, I'm going to do Control X and the closing square bracket, okay? Notice my cursor goes down to that page delimiter, all right? To move down a screen, we talked about this yesterday in the tutorial, but Control V moves down the screen or down a screen. And Alt V moves up a screen, okay? All right, we can also go to a line. We can do Alt X and type in go to line and just hit enter. And then we can go to a line. Let's say we want to go to line 5 again. Boom, we're at line 5. Okay, if I want to go to the end of the document, I'm going to do Alt Shift period and move me right back there. So MX or Alt X, and then the command go to line and press enter, that will bring you to a line. And we also have one, Emacs go to CHAR for go to character, and hit enter. Okay, let's do Control L to center that. And if we want to repeat a command, we've shown that we can do it with Control U, N, and then the command, or we can do Alt N and then the command. Okay, so I could do Alt 5, Control P to move up 5 lines. That's a quick way to do it. Now, if you're doing it a lot of lines, you still have to hold down the Alt key while you type in the number. So I could do Alt 20, Control P, and that moves up 20 lines. Now, if I do Alt Shift period, that moves me right back down to the end of the document. So that's some stuff to practice that you can move around. Now, I've been talking about Control L to recenter. Let's actually do that. Control L, that recenters the page at the cursor. Okay. And let's make another page break. So that's Control K or Control Q, Control L. So Control Q, Control L, that breaks another page. All right, so to delete a word, we can do Alt D. And what this does is it's the command for kill word, which deletes a word. That puts it in the kill ring. Okay. Likewise, Control D is something that kills a character or deletes a character and puts it in the kill ring. Control K kills a line or deletes a line. And then Alt, and then hyphen, and then Control K. So we want to do Alt, and then the hyphen, and then Control K. What that does is delete from the beginning of the line to the cursor. So this deletes from the beginning of the line to the cursor. Okay, so let's move back a few words here to we're at line. So let's try that. So we'll do Alt hyphen Control K. Okay, and you notice, look at that. We've got line to the cursor. So it deleted everything before that. Now to bring it back, I'm just going to undo it. So I'm going to do Control XU, and I'm going to undo that. All right. Okay, let's do Control E to go to the end there. Okay, like I talked about, killing. Let's just say killing text in Emacs puts deleted text into the kill ring. Okay, and then you can copy it, and you can do something by pasting it with Control Y, which stands for yank. Okay, so we get back what we deleted. Now to make a mess of this, let's go here and let's do Alt hyphen Control K. We deleted that to the beginning of the line. We're going to go Control N here and then do a yank, and then we see here puts deleted text into the kill ring, and it's counting the line above it as part of this line. So it deleted this whole thing here and moved it down here. So that doesn't really make sense. So let's undo it, do a couple undos, and we'll get it back to where we were. Okay. All right. To demonstrate some of this, I'm first going to do Control L to recenter, and I'm going to do line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4. And what we're going to do is go through some commands here. So what I could do is Control U, 4, Control P, and that's going to move up 4 lines. And then after that, maybe what I should do is then Control A to move to the beginning of the line, then Control U, okay, Control U, and then 4, and Control K. That's going to kill 4 lines. And then we'll do a Control Y, and we'll just paste them back. Okay? So let's do a Control U, 4, Control P, and then Control A, Control U, 4, Control K, and then a Control Y. And we've brought it all back. Okay, so that's a way you can get used to manipulating text. And if you want to get good at editing in Emacs, you should try exercises like this. Okay. All right, let's go to the end of this line here with Control E. And we'll talk about cutting. So cutting in Emacs, you can do Control W, which is cut. And you can paste, again, which is yanking. Control Y is paste, called yanking. It's different than in Vim, okay? We can also, let's do a Control L to recenter. We can also mark and cut. So we can mark and cut, okay? So let's create some more text. So this is the first line, line 2, line 3. This is the last line. Now to set the mark, okay, to set mark, or to set the mark, we're going to do Control space or Control and the @ symbol, okay? So then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all the items that we want to cut, then do Control W to cut, then Control Y to repaste. Again, this is an exercise. We're trying to get better at Emacs. So I'm going to do Control Shift 2 to set the mark, and then Control P will move it up. Look at that nice Dracula theme. It puts what I'm marking in yellow, and Control A to get to the start of the line. We'll do Control W to cut it. Now it's in the kill ring, and we'll paste it back with Control Y. Look at that. Pretty nice. Okay. To kill a word backwards, you would do Alt and Delete. Is Alt and Delete, and this is the actual delete key. Now, it's interesting, the behavior on a Chromebook, if you do Alt and then the backspace, that's a bit different. So let's do that. So Alt and the backspace, it's not doing anything on this, but if we do, Alt and Shift in the backspace, my bad. Alt and Shift in the backspace, look at that. It cuts all that stuff out. So it cuts out a region here. Now to bring that back, I'm just going to undo it. So I'm going to do Control XU. Okay. So that's a little bit different on a Chromebook there. Okay. What else do I want to talk about here? Exchanging the point in the mark. So Control X will exchange the point and the mark. Okay, so let's set the mark. This time I'm going to do it with Control space. So the mark is set. You can see it down here. It says mark set. I'm going to highlight this stuff, move all the way up here and do Control A. And now my point is right here. Okay, so I'm going to do Control X, and now my point is right here. Now, if I want to escape out of this highlighting, I can just do Control G. Okay, Control G quits a lot, as we talked about in the previous video. Okay, we can also, let's do a Control L to recenter. We can also basically copy text without deleting it. And that we do with Alt W. So this copies text without deleting it. Okay. And we can do a yank pop. Okay, so a yank pop that will run after a Control Y. It yanks the previous yank. Okay, so I don't use this much, but this one is Alt Y. It's called yank pop. And after Control Y, it yanks the previous yank. Okay. All right. So again, Control W or MW will copy to the, Control W copy or cuts the text. MW copies the text, but it's going to also copy it to the clipboard. Okay, so the system clipboard. All right. Another one, Control T. This transposes two letters. So let's create my name here, and I'm going to go here and do Control T. And look at that, and then Control T, and look at that, and then Control T. Ooh, and then maybe move back here and Control T, and I've clearly messed up my name. It's moved it over and transposed it with the space, but that's what Control T does. All right, Alt T transposes two words. Okay, so let's go back here and do Alt-T, and look at that. Two transposes words, Alt-T, two words transposes. Okay, so you get the point there. And let's just whoops, I didn't want to do that. Let me do Control G, get out of there, and go to the end here. Okay. All right. Control X, Control T transposes two lines. So let me move up a line. Let's kill this blank space, and let's do a Control X, Control T, and look at that. We've swapped the lines. Now, if I do it again, it transposes them back. Okay, so that's a cool shortcut. We can also transpose sentences. Let's do a Control L to recenter. So we can do an Alt X and then type in transpose sentences dot, oh no, just transpose sentences and hit enter. So let's try this. So this is sentence 1. Okay, just leave one space. Let's see. This is sentence 2. Okay, now let's just move somewhere here. We'll do Alt X transpose sentences, and we probably need to be here. So let's do Alt X, and it's not doing it. Okay, let's do a space. Okay, now let's do it. Now they switch. So again, remember, we need 2 spaces between sentences. Now you can change this, but this is the default Emacs behavior. Okay, we can also do Alt X to transpose paragraphs. So we can do Alt X and then type in the command transpose paragraphs and hit enter. Okay, we can capitalize the letter under the cursor. So we can do that with Alt C. So this will capitalize the letter under the cursor. Okay, so if I have Tim here and I want to go back and I need to capitalize this, I can do Alt C and capitalize that word. Okay, we can also we can make the whole word uppercase with Alt U. So this will upcase, is the way they describe it, upcase the word. So let's do Tim here. I'll go back and I'll do Alt U, and that upcases the word. We can also do Alt L to downcase the word. So let's say I have Tim here. Go back one, do Alt L, and that's still lowercase. Well, let's do an uppercase. Okay, we'll go back one, Alt L, and it's now lowercase. Let's do a Control L to recenter. Okay. We can also go into overwrite mode. Okay. And to do that, we can do Alt X, type in the command overwrite -mode, and hit enter. Okay. So let's go to the beginning of this line with Control A. We'll do an Alt X, overwrite -mode, hit enter, and start typing. I am now in overwrite mode. Sweet. To get out of overwrite mode, we can do Alt X, hit the up arrow key to bring back the previous command, just run overwrite mode again, hit enter, and you'll see overwrite mode disabled in the current buffer. Okay. We can revert the buffer, and we can do this with Alt X, revert buffer, and hit enter. Okay. And we can recover a file with Alt X and type in the command recover file and hit enter. Okay. Let's do a Control L to recenter. I want to talk about a few more things, and then I'll stop this part of the mega tutorial where we're at. Okay, so we can also go into the menu. We can do CUA mode. Okay, now in CUA mode, this is much more like what you're familiar with other systems. So Control C is copy, Control X is cut, and Control V is paste. Okay. So now to get to that, I could toggle the menu mode. So I could toggle menu bar mode from frame. And if we go into options here and see it's right here, use CUA keys. Now, if I check this, this will go into CUA mode. So it's cut, paste with Control X, Control C, Control V. Okay. I'm not going to do that, but that is an option. Okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about in this video is displaying line numbers. So if I want line numbers in my document, what I can do is Alt X, and I can type in global display and then line, and I'll start to type it out and hit tab. So it's global dash display dash line dash numbers dash mode. If I hit enter, we get line numbers in the document. Pretty sweet. You can write that into the .emacs file also. Maybe I'll talk about that in a future video. But for right now, I'm going to end this part of the mega tutorial where I'm at. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, could you please give it a like, as it will help get out to more people. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you